But what are the implications for this kind of industry strategy then? So I would say, of course, getting this through in government would, of course, be a big victory for industry. But I think this question, having the focus it has in the Swedish debate, is already a big victory for the industry in itself. The issue has kind of crowded out many other discussions on alcohol nationally. This is by far the most discussed proposal when it comes to Swedish alcohol policy at the moment. And for example, discussions about marketing that was kind of prevalent in 3-4 years ago has very much disappeared, and this has been the only issue of focus. And this is, of course, very good for industry because they can just keep operating as they normally do. The second one is that it really strengthened this idea that, which is the very classical alcohol industry arguments about that harm is only limited to a small group of consumers. And this is usually because the framing of these kind of debate articles and proposals is that it's, well, these are not the products that people misuse, so these are not the products that people abuse in a way. And it's very obviously a very flawed understanding of how alcohol harm works. I think it's very effectful though, because people see this as some kind of higher standard of alcohol. And it's also the third one, I think maybe is the most alarming one, is that it's really strengthened this idea of alcohol as a cultural product. Because all these framing and all these debates that are in it, it's very clear that they having these debate articles being out all the time talking about the Swedish beverage culture and talking about for example, new products in this sense is very dangerous. And the fourth one is very interesting because this is a very common argument when it comes to the Swedish alcohol industry. It's that they strengthen the view of the industry being friends of the monopoly. Because since they always frame this kind of question about, well, it can be compatible with the monopoly, they can also say that they defend it. So as many of you probably know, the alcohol monopoly is very popular in Sweden. It's one of the most popular state-owned institutions. And a lot of people very much believe in its public health goals. And therefore, it's very hard for the industry to be explicitly against it. But instead of proposing this, that would probably undermine the monopoly heavily and probably remove it completely. You can still kind of make this framing that you're still for it. But this is also very common in tax discussions, where the alcohol industry in Sweden usually motivate tax cuts that it would reduce cross-border trade and therefore increase sales as the monopoly, which is a very similar way for them to try to get tax cuts.